Hey, we're back for episode 2 of Restore the Ice, or Restore the Soul. I kind of keep forgetting the name of this thing. This is a series where we're looking back on sneaker trends, sneaker moments, storylines, shoes in general that came out through the 2010s. We can learn something, expand our knowledge, provide, context when available, and just overall laugh and have fun and reminisce about some shoes that we saw, maybe didn't get to see. Today I'll be going back to 2013 and all the events that led to the 2014 release of the Nike Red October Yeezy 2s, and how this shoe caused one of the biggest music stars to depart from the biggest apparel and clothing retailer in the world. So it's the beginning of 2013 and many sneaker blogs and pages gave the Air Yeezy 2 sneaker of the year. The Air Yeezy 2 brought many new faces into the sneaker space that weren't just sports fans, and those said fans and sneaker enthusiasts were waiting patiently on what would be next. Almost every fan knew a third color was coming. 1. The original Yeezy 1 drop had 3 colors, and for the Yeezy 2 we saw even more samples, so a third one was coming. And 2. Gentry Humphrey, who worked at Nike, alluded to a third color being in the works for 2013. The real question was, which color was it going to be? My speculation doing the research, and I assume somebody thought this way too, was that the colors that came out were the colors that Kanye actually wore. Keeping that in mind, the only color that could have been the third release for the Yeezy 2 would have been the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy black-white color, which he wore during 2011's Coachella. That was the last we would hear of anything Yeezy related for at least a few months. What we didn't know is that we would be in for the most chaotic shoe release that anybody has ever experienced. Something to keep in mind is that 2013 was a big year for Kanye in all facets. Outside of being the main guy that was rolling out an anticipated shoe from Nike, he was also working on his most experimental album, which was his 6th studio album. So let's talk about Yeezus. Yeezus was set out to be Kanye's most experimental album yet. Over the last few years, between Kanye's success in both music and fashion, Kanye leaned heavily into his genius complex and was brash in his delivery of his genius. Kanye had always been kind of braggadocious throughout his career, but always had an air of humbleness in the early stages, as he was still proving his place in hip-hop to an audience that was still unsure about him. Now at this stage, Kanye is almost offended if you don't see him as a musical icon. A quote that he said while seeing some I honestly will not be able to pronounce this correctly, Le Corbusier homes with architect on Stanescu, was that visionaries can be misunderstood by unenlightened fools. Remember that. Kanye has always tried to add new elements or themes to his projects, and it was taken up a notch with Yeezus, as it can even be seen as a whole new genre that was even more experimental than the most experimental of hip-hop projects. Yeezus was setting out to blend elements of heavy metal, grunge, portions of Chicago music in both themes and production choices, and electronic production. Thinking about it now, Playboi Carti's I Am Music album could be seen as like a graduation of Yeezus, and I actually really like I Am Music. I don't know if I really like Yeezus. Thomas Bangalter, one half of Daft Punk, who were producers as well on this album, said that many recording sessions were raw, with Kanye flat out screaming at times. Kanye's vision for this album was to be hostile and reject stereotypes that were commonplace in hip-hop. He wanted listeners to think differently about this than anything else on the market, and to explore where the music can take you. To briefly go back to the shoes, this does remind me a lot how he wanted his shoes to be. To think differently about where you would feel comfortable wearing Nikes, a traditionally athletic and casual brand, maybe not casual settings. Trying to blend the features of traditional athletic style on a shoe and higher end fashion aesthetics to bring something new, and being very obsessive in the creative process. So why did I even go through all the history of Yeezus? Because rumors, circulated that whenever the Yeezy 2s were going to come out, or wherever this third color of the Yeezy 2 was going to come out, it was going to be in conjunction with the release of Yeezus. Fast forward to April 2013. A leaked photo of the Yeezy 2 surfaced showing an all red pair with gray laces with the same gold lace aglets. A richer color choice that grabbed attention given the fact that this was the first Yeezy 2 news that we gotten in 2013. It looked nice as people expected, but it could have been, could have been a rumor. I couldn't decipher where this picture even came from, and 2011 and 2012 were filled with like many samples that people couldn't decide whether it was real or fake. So it could have been just another sample in an endless line of unconfirmed samples. Until Kim Kardashian posted Instagram with like a mocked up Yeezus album cover and a pair of the same all red Yeezy 2s. This shoe may actually be legit.
The next day, Kanye pulled up to SNL to do a live performance of Black Skinhead, the lone single that was being promoted for the Yeezus album. And you guessed it, he was wearing that all red Yeezy 2. Yes, the shoe is real. Get ready. Kanye tweeted it June 18th, which many took as him telling the album date. But was it also for the shoes? Another leak came out around the time of this tweet of more official looking pictures of the all red Yeezy 2 that also had on the box, probably, that same June 18th date with a number at the bottom signifying that there are only 1,000 pairs of this shoe. So have fun trying to get them if you thought that for whatever reason that they were going to be easier this time around. Kanye also wore them again at the Governor's Ball performing songs off Yeezy. Another point of conversation was how this shoe was going to be released, and oh boy, this shoe was frying people's brains that people were coming up with. Let's go through them because the possibilities that people were coming up with were endless. It could have been like the Nike Air Mag where it's an auction and the proceeds would go to charity. It would make sense given that the people at this time were spending thousands of dollars on eBay for Yeezy 2s. Would it be a Twitter release via a link like how the Paranormal Phone Positives was dropped? It would make sense as well given the low quantity, so the store list, which was already small with the initial Yeezy drop, was going to be even smaller. Maybe it would be a regional locked or even a Chicago only drop, possibly the most sanest of ideas as Nike does that all the time with limited highly touted sneakers. But we're here for the outlandish 2 a.m. conspiracy theories, and the one that got me, because remember when I said 2013 was a big year for Kanye? Well, another reason for this is that he was going to be a father this year, as his then wife Kim Kardashian was pregnant and the couple was expecting their first child. People thought that her pregnancy was a hoax and that she was actually hiding a pair of shoes under her dress, which, like, how did y'all think that worked practically? And do you believe his shoe needed more hype? We only got a few images and Kanye wearing them once and people were already losing it about these. We didn't even have a name yet.
The most plausible ideas was that since the leaked image of the Yeezy 2 said June 18th, 2013, and Kanye tweeted June 18th regarding his album, it would be reasonable to assume that Nike might work with, Def Jam or Rockefeller Records and go full Willy Wonka and place raffle tickets in specific physical copies of the Yeezus album that you could redeem to win a pair.
Nike might be doing the most, and well, they kind of were. We still didn't have an official statement from Nike, but remember, just little tea leaves about the shoe caused campouts in front of stores months in advance. It caused massive lineups and crashed websites. So in a way, they're justifying keeping even potential facts about this release tight-knit.
June 18th came. The Yeezus album came out on schedule, but no shoes. The Nike PR rep would confirm what Eben Jasper said a few days earlier, but adding that not only June 18th was never the official release, but it was not delayed either, and it was never going to come out in June. However, they were intended to come out sometime this year. More waiting. We did get more information from Kanye because he name dropped the Yeezy 2s in his album on the song Hold My Liquor. Yeezy's all on your sofa, these the Red Octobers. We got a name. A week later, Kanye tweets a link to a website for a chance to win a free pair of the Red Octobers. Starting June 24th through July 8th, 50 people would be chosen for a chance of getting them through codes that you can get from physical copies or iTunes purchases of the album. They were time sensitive and the entry dates were June 28th, July 1st, and July 8th. So I guess there were some truth to the shoes being paired with the album, but weirdly enough, you didn't even need to buy the album to get a code. You just had to like send your email with appropriate information on the website, I believe. So this is a clear, obvious giveaway that they're coming out this year, even though we just had a Nike representative say they were coming out this year, and they would have more knowledge than like a blogger / Kanye's barber. Not so fast. Not so fast. People did win pairs, but Complex released an article following up with the people who won that said that they weren't going to get their pairs until 2014. So maybe we're not getting in 2013. Who knows?
All this was happening and Kanye had started the Yeezus tour and he was wearing them front and center, so they surely will come out this year. Yeezus was the highest grossing hip hop tour of 2013. It made over $31 million. The shoe already didn't need a bigger platform, right? And then Don C, a collaborator and friend of Kanye's, hinted on Instagram that their shoe might come out in January, so not 2013. Bad turned to worse as randomly some took note that Kanye wasn't wearing the Red Octobers anymore during his stage sets, and all this got worse or funnier now that not only he wasn't wearing the Red Octobers on stage anymore, but he was also starting to take shots at Mark Parker on stage. Fans who attended the DC leg of the tour witnessed Kanye rant about Mark not returning his calls for 8 months and fuck Mark Parker. In the New York leg of the tour, he went on another rant apart from saying he is Steve Jobs and Walt Disney and needed the fans' money. He reaffirmed that Nike didn't know when the Red Octobers were releasing and that they tried to sun him and control him. Finally, he said that he will be joining a company that will allow him to create. Just from this, we knew that he was in contract negotiations with Nike and it wasn't going well, but would he actually leave Nike? We've seen disputes and contract talks happen like all the time, but he may just be threatening to leave to get what he wants from Nike, and that also might be why he's not really wearing the shoes, as I said, contract negotiations. Just doing this, one thing is pretty clear: when Kanye has made his mind about something, good luck trying to reverse course. Because November 25th, 2013, Kanye took a stop from his tour to go on Angie Martinez's radio show with Kim Kardashian present to announce live that he would be leaving Nike to join Adidas. The interview was short and detailed a few reasons for his decision, but the main two was that Nike sending him mixed signals about the shoe and not giving Kanye clear dates on when the shoe would release. Oh, even telling a story about asking Nike himself and them not giving him a clear answer, and them not even knowing when the shoe would come out themselves. Another reason was Kanye asked for royalties on the Yeezy line, like Jordan getting 5% royalties on the Air Jordan line, and Nike wasn't going for that, saying that they only gave royalties to athletes. He reiterated some of these feelings on his Sway in the Morning radio interview. Before I go into any of that, please watch that interview. It's a vintage Kanye interview before we even knew what a vintage Kanye interview was. Before he started bringing up slavery, he echoed the same sentiment about not getting clarity about the Yeezy line. When Sway asked about the Red Octobers, Kanye said when he asked Nike about them, they wouldn't give him a clear-cut answer. But when his homeboy who runs a sneaker store asked about them, they told him if you want the Red Octobers, you have to take these 10 other shoes. Pretty much trying to make the Yeezy line on the same level as the Air Jordans, Nike Air Max, Air Forces, etc. Which, I'm not even gonna lie, with someone explaining this on Reddit, I still don't really get the idea of that. He also stated that Nike did try to keep him and offered him a new contract, but he rejected it. Feeling that Mark Parker and Nike were trying to minimize his line and his status, he drew parallels to making My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy and the hit single Monster, which is more known now for Nicki Minaj's verse, that his ego could have taken it off, but kept it on and giving Minaj the platform she needed to showcase her ability. He believed that Nike felt threatened by the Yeezy series and it was undermining what Nike was working on and other sneakers, and that Mark Parker could not understand why people like Yeezy so much and that people had the feeling they had with Yeezy as they did with Jordans. Signing with Adidas was simple because he recognized that he still needed the right people and the bigger brand at large to showcase his artistic vision for fashion. But also Adidas probably threw in royalties and more creative direction and freedom with how he wanted his shoes to look and how he wanted them distributed.
Now, with all that being said, and Kanye said a lot, this completely shocked the sneaker landscape. The main spokesperson behind the Air Yeezy line at Nike that won Sneaker of the Year was not only leaving Nike but joining their rival, a competitor company in the same space. For Kanye, this was the only reasonable decision after trying to coexist with a brand that he has liked for his whole life, but in his eyes showed to be tolerating Kanye rather than like appreciating him. But to fans, it might as well have came out of left field, and also threw a wrench in the Red October release. How would Nike release a shoe based on a guy who just left their company in a pretty big fashion? Going into a PR roller coaster with Mr. PR roller coaster isn't the smartest thing to do. Moving along, December 2013 rolled around. Adidas officially announces that Kanye is signed with their brand, and we are still getting Red October news. On December 27th, Nike's website, along with Foot Locker's release page, or Foot Locker's upcoming release page, posted the Red Octobers. Fans did get screenshots before they were quickly taken down from the respective brands. So, I don't know. I don't know. Now we are in 2014. Fans and sneakerheads came to a point that we might never get this shoe. Even though we had various athletes and celebrities like Geno Smith, Kevin Hart, and Macklemore already wearing this shoe. Funny story about Macklemore, he was doing like a New Year's Eve concert and he threw his pair into the crowd. The original Yeezy 2 drop was damn near 19 months ago and was limited and now practically inaccessible to anyone unless you have $4,000 laying around, minimum. The Air Yeezy 2 went from Sneaker of the Year to most frustrating shoe of the year. And now Nike let the main spokesperson of that shoe walk due to communication errors. If you let Kanye tell you. But like, to sneaker fans, would any real harm be done if the Red Octobers never came out? Like sneakerheads and people who collect shoes, we miss out on drops all the time. We miss out on sneakers all the time. We don't always get every single shoe for a bevy of reasons. Missing out on a shoe is pretty normal and kind of expected if you do it long enough. Like, what didn't happen? You didn't get to spend $300, like damn near $300 on a shoe that you may or may not even wear like that. Some people might just buy it, not even liking the shoe for real, but just wanting to hold it to see if someone would be crazy enough to spend 10 to 15 times market value of it. Overall, we'll be upset, but we'll just move on and wait for what Kanye has in store with Adidas. And then
February 9th, 2014, a Sunday. Nike tweets a link at 10 p.m. Eastern Time to their website to buy the Red October Yeezy 2, just like that. No warning, no build up, no prep, no actual marketing, as no one has heard anything about this shoe for almost 2 months. Just an online exclusive, which was similar to the Paranormal foam posits, but it was still uncommon for online only shoes in 2014. Whether you're at church and your friend called you, or in bed about ready to get some sleep for work or school the next day, someone got a hold of you to go on Twitter right now.
By the time you even had the mindset to click the link, the shoes were sold out. You actually had 11 minutes to go to Twitter, click the link, put the shoe in the cart, and put in your debit/credit information. By Monday morning, people were already taking bids on eBay for the Yeezy 2 Red Octobers, some reaching thousands of dollars for the idea that you might get the shoe. The Quick Strike online only release garnered a mixed reaction from the public. Some people were very obviously frustrated that Nike would string along fans for a year about these elusive shoes, have a fallout with the main person who designed the shoes, and then release them anyway on like a random Sunday, which isn't a normal day to release a shoe, especially a shoe with this much fanfare. And to people who actually wanted the shoe to wear the shoe, you had very little time to actually prepare. I've said with many shoes that I'm hard pressed of calling a shoe sneaker of the year if only a handful of people can get their hands on said shoe. There's a reason why we don't often incorporate designer or luxury brand shoes in sneaker of the year talks, even if they are popular, because they're inaccessible by design. Didn't need to make a million pairs of the Air Yeezy 2. That's impractical. And I get like the elusiveness, the illusion of rarity behind Kanye, and kind of like his fashion choices is going to build up hype and momentum for the shoe anyway. So I'm not saying that you need to make so many pairs that you dilute it, but only making 1,000 pairs, it meant that unless you were like really fiending like that, the only people that would get their hands on this shoe are people who were just standing to hold it for the highest possible bidder, and the shoe just crumble away in somebody's closet. On the other hand, some people actually like this approach from Nike. Remember, from the last Yeezy 2 drop from June 2012, it didn't just have eyebrow-raising long lines, flooded websites, and very exhausted customer support workers. It also had campouts, which caused disruption to city sidewalks and streets. Some stores were being accused of backdooring pairs or reselling. Some stores couldn't hold or falsify their inventory to only sell to friends and family or mark up the price on their own. Even though online exclusives were not commonplace in 2014, they still happened in some ways. This was the true definition of a quick strike release, as if you happen to just be on Twitter or just be on Nike's website that time, you were in luck.
Maybe this wasn't just a random drop from Nike. Rumors suggest Adidas was ready to drop something regarding Kanye around this time. Probably something regarding clothing, then footwear, or maybe a collaboration with a model already in Adidas and not something new yet. February 9th was close to the 10-year anniversary of Kanye's debut album, The College Dropout, so Nike dropping the Red Octobers now to take momentum away from a competitor and their newest free agent signing is well played, if not extraordinarily petty. And I can't stress this enough how petty this all is. They released one of the most highly sought after shoes in an act of spite.
With that out of the way, what do I think about them? The all red color is certainly flashy. It grabs attention. Nike with a few other shoe models were getting more splashier and more exotic with their color schemes. Look at what they were doing with Nike basketball this year, like the KD6 that started to push the envelope with the vibrant colors that stand out on a basketball court. But that's what people want when they're playing basketball, to stand out and be flashy. With shoes that are going to be hitting the streets, people say they want different colors, but oftentimes stick to more traditional color palettes. The Red Octobers felt different from the all red takes that we typically see, and the silhouette in general takes over most outfits, especially with how Kanye was wearing it around this time, wearing them with joggers and big shirts, which that's very 2014, but also it makes the shoe stand on its own, like stand on an island of its own. To get quickly historical, because this video is already getting long enough and I have to edit this, red as a color in fashion has taken on many different, representations for what people perceive it to be. From what I think Kanye was aiming for with the Yeezy 2 and particularly this pair, it was meant to be luxury and status. Also important to the Red Octobers and the direction that Kanye was going towards with an album that's literally called Yeezus, red is important and it means a lot in church settings. And many high-ranking members of the church in the late 1400s and 1500s were wearing red to represent the blood of Christ. Pope Paul II decreed that many members of the church to wear crimson, which is just another shade of red, over the traditional purple. Today, red expresses many different emotions or reactions and different meanings that are not always the same from how it was once seen. However, it's still a color that showcases self-confidence, as it's not an easy color to wear. Not on that, because just by itself, I don't think the Red October is like the best Yeezy 2. I still think the black one is the best. I think they're cool, they're pungent, and I've seen today's outfit choices go really well with this shoe. People do the most for these and spend the most. Like, part of me dropping this episode now was that I was just like watching Justin Timberlake's sneaker shopping video, or like a clip from it, and I think he spent $44,000 on it, and he specifically asked for the he spent $44,000 in that episode, and I think he specifically asked for the Red October Yeezys, and it had to have been like 20,000 of that 44,000 was just those shoes alone. It's a level of status this shoe brings that is not like the other two. I probably would, like I said, lean to the black pair, but I get why these ones became bigger than the line itself. It became a symbol of pop culture and fashion around this time period. If you told anyone during the mid 2010s or like that you were a sneakerhead, they would ask you about the Red Octobers.
With no restock and this being the last we get of Nike and Kanye, this shoe includes so many fakes. People had to get these some way, and I'm assuming most people don't have thousands of dollars lying around. Fake, or now what we call the rep communities, made lots of money supplying the demand of the public. Fakes were still taboo, unlike today, but there had to be a level of understanding with these. Kanye thought this because in May he signed someone's fake pair. He even called it out to the fan, but signed it anyway, making them the most valuable fake pair of Yeezys. It also coincided with the IG Flex days. This was a time where people were showcasing their collections and pickups all the time on the new photo sharing app, and getting a following because of it. One of the ways to distinguish your collection was flexing limited rare shoes that nobody else had. In a way, it created what we see today with people caring more about collaboration projects on shoes and the idea that you need to have limited drops and collabs to have a good collection. These times also showcase the custom community. With no more Air Yeezys, people were coming up with their own color patterns with real or fake models. If you couldn't get fakes, you did the next best thing. The color. People were doing everything all red around this time. All red Hirachis, double platinum, all red Air Forces, my favorite, all red Foamposites, Nike please don't bring these back, all red Air Max 90s, and nothing took over sneaker collections like the all red Hiroshi runs, with a matching Chicago Bulls snapback, and or if you were a baller like that, a gold chain. Could have been from the jeweler, could have been from the mall. Use your imagination.
Also got the rise of limited shoes like this being online only, which did curb the campouts, the long lines, and the brawls we would see from sneaker releases. Although it's a double-edged sword for consumers, as online releases and raffles are easier on storefronts, it does start opening the door for resellers and to take advantage, and they do take advantage, of making already limited shoes even more limited. It does make it easier for stores to manage foot traffic on drop days, so it's not perfect, but it's overall like marginally positive, probably even borderline positive.
To wrap this video up, the Yeezy 2 dropped during Kanye's tour, and in the middle of his performance, he quickly addressed the shock drop of the Red Octobers. He apologized to the crowd for the confusion and miscommunication, said that when his Yeezy dropped with Adidas, they will be more available. With the end of the Nike-Kanye pairing, it was best for them to go their separate ways. Kanye demands full freedom in his creative vision, which has worked for him in music and even at this point in fashion. Nike really wasn't used to someone they're working with having this much input in a project. Nike has a team of people with years worth of knowledge and experience in design, but Kanye is a creative as well, and he is someone that expects you to see the vision that he sees, if not at bare minimum be on board with his vision. Not getting any royalties means that even if he did like resign, I believe he would have left some point down the road. On the other hand, Kanye ain't the easiest person to work with because you never know where his vision will take him. In another interview he did while talking about his new deal with Adidas, he says that he feels younger when he gets to create and has to remind himself to, act like an adult in different settings when it's not like creative setting. Young creatives or creatives in general tend to scrap, restart, change course, and get inspired in abstract ways. And Nike probably wants somebody that was more lax, and that's just not Kanye. Also, with how Yeezus rolled out and how it did commercially, probably didn't make Nike happy. The album still did well. To Kanye levels of well, this was his lowest first week sales of any of his other albums. Over 326,000 album sales is still great for any artist. It is one of the best of 2013. But the fact that part of his decline, at least commercially, was because Kanye didn't push a single for this album and rejected any songs that could sound too mainstream. The one that did get pushed was literally called Black Skinhead. And that song had to fight to even get on radio due to the mature subject matter and the edgy tone that he took with that song. The album also received mixed reviews on release, with some of the weird edgy tones that he took turned some people off, feeling that it was kind of like forced anyway. Since they did a contest based around the Yeezy album, I assume it was initially planned for the shoes to drop in some connection with the album, but after the album didn't do what Nike wanted or Nike expected, they changed course to honestly whatever the rest of 2013 was. Kanye is a creative visionary, but his biggest annoyance is that he doesn't want to be told no and looks at you as an enlightened fool for not seeing it how he sees it. While Nike is a worldwide leader in their clothing and footwear with and without Kanye, meaning they would prefer if Kanye was a little less demanding in creative control so they can continue doing what has worked before.
The Nike Yeezy line created a wave of curiosity that we hadn't seen since the Air Jordans. Kanye believed that his musical prowess, his visions that he sketched, along with his celebrity that made the shoes special. He believed it was their platform, their logo properties, and past success with other models that made the shoes special. Maybe they're both right. Years later, Nike would release the Nike Air Inter Trainers, which I've always read as entertainers, which looked like a stripped down Yeezy 2. Many took that as a subliminal to Kanye, and also that same year, Kanye released a song titled Facts, where he straight up disses Nike, and he says Yeezy jumped over Jumpman. I think you probably heard it. To kind of have a happy ending, Kanye did an interview with Charlamagne the God back in 2018, where he did apologize to Mark Parker for how it ended, and he is still firm that he feels that he made the right choice, but he also admits, he does say that he was still grateful for the opportunity that he did have at Nike. So yeah, I think overall Kanye got what he wanted. Kanye got what he wanted, and he ended up making very culture defining shoes and moments with Adidas. And Nike's still going to be industry leader, and it would still have success where they always did have success, and even expanding to different avenues, and even branched out with more celebrities down the line that they collaborated, worked with. And maybe I'll talk about both of those pretty soon. That's it for this video. It's pretty long. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to watch this. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll see y'all soon in the next one.